गृधः कस्य स्विद्धनम् मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् ॐ प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती धीनाम् अवित्र्यवतु ॐ चोदयित्री सूनृतानां चेतन्ती सुमतीनां यज्ञं दधे सरस्वती ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै सर्वेऽत्र सुखिनः सन्तु सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Thank you, everyone. Dear friends, participants, this online FDP on advancing towards sustainable teaching, learning, and evaluation methods is organized in collaboration with Sydenham College and K.J. Somaiya College of Arts and Commerce. These two institutes are premier institutes as far as the city of Mumbai is concerned. Let us get some insights into these two premier institutes. Sydenham College is the first commerce college in the Asian continent and had been only one to offer MCom in banking and finance for a number of years, even in the post-independence era. The college has been re-accredited with A grade with CGPA score of 3.42. The college is the constituent college of Dr. Homi Bhabha State University, the first cluster university of Maharashtra state and third in the country. Let's get some glimpses into Sydenham Faculty Development Center. Sydenham Faculty Development Center has been established under the aegis of RUSA, Maharashtra, from the grants received from MHRD, Government of India, under the Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya Mission on Teaching and Teachers scheme. The center was established in the year 2018, and within a short span of 2 years, the center had successfully organized 2 faculty development programs, 2 research methodology workshops, 3 online faculty development programs, and those have been organized in Maharashtra, Goa, and Gujarat. Let me tell you, these training programs have indeed benefited around 1,898 participants across the nation. K.J. Somaiya College of Arts and Commerce is one of the premier institutions in Somaiya Vidya Vihar. The college enjoys a linguistic minority and it is affiliated to the University of Mumbai permanently. The college was established by the philanthropist and visionary Pujya Shri Karamshibai Jethabai Somaiya in the year 1959. The college was recognized by UGC for a period of around 2016 to 21 as a college with potential for excellence. In the year 2016, the college was also re-accredited by NAAC with CGPA score of 3.33 and A grade. The college has been ranked third among colleges in Mumbai in arts and third in commerce among colleges in Mumbai, and as far as the India Today magazine survey of June 2020 is concerned. Dear dignitaries and participants, we all must have come across the new educational policy 2020. And we all know that it has underscored the importance of promoting Indian culture via Indian languages. And there is an inextricable link between culture and languages. At Somaya Vidyavihar, we constantly strive towards sustainable multilingualism. And this initiative of sustainable multilingualism is divulged by one of our important facets, that is Sanskrit invocation. Now I request Dr. Prasad Bhide, the faculty member of Sanskrit department, to deliver Sanskrit invocation. Dr. Prasad Bhide, over to you.
नमो नमः। सुप्रभातम, सर्वेषां स्वागतम। यथा सूत्र संचालिका महोदया वदति तथा अहम संस्कृत भाषया अत्र किंचित वदामि। अस्माकं सोमय्या महाविद्यालयस्य एषा परंपरा अस्ति। अत्र संस्कृत भाषया व्यवहारः भविष्यति। तर्हि कजे सोमय्या कला तथा वाणिज्य महाविद्यालयः अपि च सिडनैम फैकल्टी डेवलपमेंट सेंटर अनयोः आयोजिता एषा पंचदिवसीया कार्यशाला अत्र सर्वेषां हार्दं स्वागतम्। भोः जनाः, परामर्श इति योजना अस्ति। तस्यां योजनायाम् अस्याः कार्यशालायाः आयोजनं भवति। परामर्शः इति वस्तुतः मूलतः संस्कृत शब्दः खलु। परामर्शः इति शब्दस्य अर्थः अस्ति विचारणा। परामर्शः इति शब्दस्य अर्थः अस्ति कंसल्टेशन, सलाह मशोहरा इति हिंदी भाषया उच्यते। प्राचीने काले ये प्रशासकाः आसन् तेषां तज्ञमण्डलम् आसन्। तैः तज्ञैः सह एते राजानः प्रशासकाः वा परामर्शं कुर्वन्ति स्म। अस्यां कार्यशालायाम् अपि विविध विषयकाः तज्ञाः वर्तन्ते। एतेषां तज्ञानां मार्गदर्शनम् अस्यां कार्यशालायां लभ्यते। अनेन मार्गदर्शनेन शिक्षणशास्त्रे अर्थात अध्यापने तथा च परीक्षणे तथा च अध्ययने अर्थात टीचिंग लर्निंग इवैल्यूएशन इत्यत्र कः विकासः करणीयः तस्य मार्गदर्शनम् अस्माभिः लभ्यते। अतः एषः फैकल्टी डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम अर्थात शिक्षक विकास कार्यक्रमः यशस्वी भवतु इति आशामहे। विरमामि। धन्यवादः।
Thank you, Dr. Prasad Bhide, for such a sonorous Sanskrit invocation. Thank you once again, sir. Dear friends, we all know the co-founder of Apple, late Mr. Steve Jobs. Once he said that innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. Today, we'll be introduced to two exemplary leaderships. Dr. Veena Sanikar, the IC principal of KG Somaiya College of Arts and Commerce, and Dr. Sangeeta Pakade, principal of Sydenham College. Both have been vibrant leaders as far as their academic institutes are concerned. Dr. Veena Sanikar, her unparalleled energy and zest leaves us absolutely awestruck. I request our IC principal, Dr. Veena Sanikar, to deliver a welcome address to all our participants. Dr. Veena Sanikar, over to you.
Very good morning. Very good morning to all of you. Somaiya Vidya Vihar campus is a beautiful dream of our visionary founder, Padma Shri Karamsi Bhai Somaiya. And KJ Somaiya College of Arts and Commerce is Matru Samstha, that is Mother Institute of the campus. Almost from 1959 to 2020, for really 6 decades, KJ Somaiya College of Arts and Commerce is imparting knowledge to so many generations. College is working hard for the mission of empowering students through knowledge, Jnana Devatu Kaivalyam. Knowledge can't be locked down in lockdown period 2. And so, we all are here. We are very happy to associate with Government of Maharashtra Sidnam Faculty Development Center under Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya National Mission, Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India. This collaboration for faculty development is an opportunity for us to work for positive steps towards academic excellence. This was possible because of wholehearted support of Dr. Jain and his team. Dr. Singhal, Dr. Chaugule, Shri Ashok Mehta. Today, on behalf of Sidnam College of Commerce and Economics, along with Principal Dr. Sangeeta Pakade, I, Dr. Veena Sanikar, in charge Principal, KJ Arts and Commerce, we all together welcome all of you. And I welcome to our own Provost, Professor V.N. Rajashekharan Pillai Sir, President for today's function. Sir is always our source of energy and strength for us. And I once again give all my good wishes to teachers across the country who are part of this FDP. And I appreciate the continuous efforts taken by our IQSC team and our Paramarsh team. Thank you. Once again, very good morning to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Veena Sanikar, for that inestimable message. Thank you, ma'am, for your best wishes. Now I request Dr. Sangeeta Pakade, the principal of Sidnam College and the chairperson of Sidnam Faculty Development Center, to give us some insights into the Sidnam Center for Faculty Development.
Chairperson of the 5 days online faculty development program, Honorable Professor V.N. Rajashekharan Pillai, Ambassador UGC, Paramarsh Scheme KJSAC, Provost Somaiya Vidya Vihar and Vice Chancellor Somaiya Vidya Vihar University, Principal Dr. Veena Sanikar, KJ Somaiya College of Commerce Mumbai, Dr. Shubhangi Patil, Convener of FDP, and Dr. K.S. Jain, Project Coordinator, Sidnam Faculty Development Center, and teacher participants. I am Dr. Sangeeta Pakade, the Principal of Sidnam College and Chairperson of Sidnam Faculty Development Center. At the outset, I welcome you all to this 5 days online faculty development program on advancing towards sustainable teaching, learning, and evaluation methods. Sidnam College is the first commerce government college in Asian continent. We are the first institute in Mumbai University to start PG course in banking and finance in the year 1925. Sidnam offers programs in commerce stream at junior college level, UG level, PG level. The college has research center in commerce. The college also offers a number of self-finance courses such as BMS, BBI, Diploma in Foreign Trade, Certificate course in GST, NSE, Certified Capital Market Professional course, CMA, and so on. College has re-accredited with A grade, CGPA 3.42 by the NAC in February 2017. In 2019, the state government has elevated the status of college to State Cluster University. including 3 other government colleges. Now, the college is a constituent college of the first cluster university of the state, Homi Bhabha State University, and the third in the country. The college has rich alumni. The prominent among them are Suresh Kotak, Neeraj Bajaj, Kanti Kumar Poddar, Niranjan Hiranandani, and the list goes on. Sydenham Faculty Development Center has been established under the Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya National Mission on Teachers and Teaching Scheme of MHRD, New Delhi in 2018. Within a span of 2 years, the center has organized 2 faculty induction programs of 1 month duration and 12 faculty development programs of 10 days each, 2 research methodology workshops of 14 days each at Amravati, Kolhapur, Mumbai, Konkan and Thane in Maharashtra, Surat and Anand in Gujarat, and at Goa. During lockdown period of COVID-19, 3 online FDP of 5 days each in the various parts of the states of Maharashtra, Gujarat and Goa were organized. An overwhelming response was noted for all FDPs. A total of 1,898 teacher participants from 2 states and 4 union territories of India have been benefited through these programs. Like previous online FDP, the present online FDP too received good response. I would fail in my duty if I do not acknowledge the efforts of project coordinator Dr. Pushpat Jain, who has been instrumental in planning and implementing these training programs in association with numerous institutions in different parts of the state and neighboring states. I also thank the joint coordinator Dr. Singhal, Dr. Chaugule and CA Ashok Mehta and the entire teaching and non-teaching staff of the Sydenham College who have put their efforts for the success of these programs. The world as a whole is struggling with pandemic. All schools and colleges across the country are shut down. Friends, in this difficult situation, life is not about waiting for the storms to pass. It's about learning how to dance in the rain. Education for Sustainable Development provides an exciting vision of an interdisciplinary studies. Education for Sustainable Development promotes the development of the knowledge, skills, understanding, values and actions required for sustainable world, which ensures environmental protection and conservation, promotes social equity and encourages economic sustainability. The teaching fraternity has greater responsibility of sharpening the future of nation. Teachers are using their time fruitfully by sharpening their teaching, learning and evaluation skills. The recent recommendations by the UGC have also highlighted the need for making use of technology in teaching learning process. I am sure that this training program will help teachers in upgrading their insights and skills about the transition management in higher education system in India. Friends, organization of a program is a teamwork. Teamwork is an essential part of workplace success. I know teamwork is the fuel that allows common people to attain uncommon results. I must mention that without the help of respectable people, it would not be possible for me to conduct this program. So, I would like to thank Honorable Professor Rajashekaran, Vice Chancellor, Somaya Vidyavihar University. I am also indebted to MHRD and RUSA for giving this opportunity to us by sanctioning the project. I must also thank Honorable Rajiv Jalota Sir, Secretary Higher and Technical Education, and Honorable Dr. Dhanraj Mane Sir, Director of Higher Education, for their continuous support. I also acknowledge the efforts of Collaborating Institute, KJ Somaiya College of Commerce, Mumbai, Principal Dr. Veena Sanekar, Convener of FDP Dr. Shubhangi Patil, for their continuous efforts for the success of this program. I wish all of you all the best for the successful completion of the program. Before I close, I must remind to all participants that attendance at all the sessions is mandatory as the attendance of participants will be monitored online. I wish all the best to the members of organizing committee for the success of the program. Unity is strength. When there is teamwork and collaboration, wonderful things can be achieved. Thanks to all. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra. Chairperson of the 5 days online faculty development program.
Thank you, Sangeeta madam, for your valuable message and also those inspiring words. Thank you, ma'am. 19th century American distinguished poet Robert Frost once said, while addressing a poets gathering, he said, "I am not a teacher, I am an awakener." Dear participants, these words compel us to take a stock of the current scenario of corona outbreak and also reconsider our role as teachers in the virtual classrooms. Gone are those days where the teacher's monologue was considered to be sacrosanct. These ace millennial learners are not merely producers of knowledge, but they are also the ones who definitely act on them. In order to teach these millennial learners, we certainly need to bring about certain modifications as far as our teaching pedagogy is concerned. Maybe a fine blend of traditional pedagogical approach and penetration of technology may come to our rescue. In order to give more insights into this, I request Professor Mamata Tendulkar, one of the conveners of this online faculty development program on advancing towards teaching, learning, and sustainable evaluation methods. Professor Mamata Tendulkar, over to you.
Thank you, madam. Myself, Mamata Tendulkar, Assistant Professor of KJ Somaiya College of Arts and Commerce, IQAC and Paramarsh team member, and one of the convener. I welcome you all again on 1 week online faculty development program on advancing towards sustainable teaching, learning, and evaluation methods. With high-space technological advancement and prosperity of the millennial learners towards becoming digital, the role of teacher has become more challenging. Along with the dissemination of the subject knowledge, the objective of teacher is to sensitize the learner towards the contemporary social millennium. In this respect, decentralization and diversification in the domain of education is the need of the hour. A role of teacher is a facilitator of a diverse teaching learning style will assist the millennial learners to be more adaptable of changing higher education scenario in different parts of the world. A fine blend of traditional pedagogy and dexterous deployment of online teaching learning resources can prove significantly rewarding in the teaching in the millennial learners. As we all know that this pandemic has forced us all of us to leave the physical classroom teaching and to be on online. So this FDP program is really beneficial for all of us because this FDP aims at giving valuable guidance in teaching pedagogy, thereby understanding the depositions of the millennial learners and igniting the minds of upcoming research scholars in the field of teaching and learning. I again welcome you all of you for all this program, and throughout the 5 days, we will focus on this part that we are going to learn how to become a sustainable teacher and how to have the sustainable teaching, learning, and evaluation methods. And after this 5 days program, I'm so sure that we will take away a lot of things with us. Thank you. Thank you all. Over to you, Meenal madam.
So very true, Professor Mamata Tendulkar. We all know that we are a part of Indian subcontinent, which has a rich cultural tradition and cultural heritage. Guru Shishya Parampara is one of the significant features of Indian knowledge system. We teachers strive hard to impart knowledge to our students. In a way, we are performing this Jnana Yagya, and therefore we all feel that this Guru Shishya Parampara should not be lost in the midst of times. Teachers nor students None of them should be emerging as robots in this mechanical world. Let us strike a fine blend of traditional pedagogical approach and penetration of technology. It may definitely help us to understand the proclivity of millennial learners and continue with this Jnana Yajna. Dear participants, the motivation is that tonic which energizes us, revitalizes us to take in our stride the difficulties, to overcome all the hurdles and ultimately emerge successful. The unprecedented support of our provost, Professor V.N. Rajasekaran Pillai, has always been instilling unshakable faith in all of us to succeed against all odds. I request Professor V.N. Rajasekaran Pillai, the Provost of Somaiya Vidyavihar, Vice Chancellor, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Somaiya Vidyavihar University, Ambassador of UGC, Paramarsh Scheme of KG Somaiya College of Arts and Commerce, ex-chairperson of University Grants Commission, New Delhi, and Director at National Assessment and Accreditation Council. I request Professor V.N. Rajasekaran Pillai to deliver the presidential remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Dr. Sangeeta Pakade, Principal of Sitnan College, which is a constituent college of the newly formed cluster university in Maharashtra, Homi J. Baba State University. My colleague, Dr. Veena Sanekar, Principal of the KJ Somaiya College of Arts and Commerce, distinguished teachers and heads of departments from the two colleges, the participants of this 7-day, 1 week online faculty development program from different colleges across the state or even the country, resource persons for this 1 week program, my teacher colleagues from both the colleges, functionaries of the government, state government, and the University Grants Commission, dear participants. First of all, let me congratulate Sitnan College of Commerce and Economics, Mumbai, and the KJ Somaiya College of Arts and Commerce for organizing a timely and relevant 1 week capacity building or training program or some sort of a refresher course specifically intended for the teachers in several colleges in Maharashtra and other states. I know that Paramarsh is a national scheme of the University Grants Commission. It is to handhold colleges to get quality accreditation. And they have selected these colleges for the Paramarsh scheme, considering the capabilities of these institutions, capabilities of these colleges to provide support and guidelines for enhancing the quality of the teaching, learning, and other activities which are happening in a college. When it comes to the topic of this 1 week faculty development program, advancing towards sustainable teaching, learning, and evaluation methods. And when we look at the participants, they are the teachers in the colleges. Teachers in the colleges which are integral part of the universities. A lot of things are happening in collegiate education and collegiate college teaching. If you just look at the development of the colleges and development of the programs, you can see that during the last several decades, several changes have happened. Now we see the advent of technology in a very big way. We are all benefiting its advantages. Of course, there could be some some maybe challenges in technology-enabled teaching also. The overall purpose of the colleges or the university system of education is to provide advanced knowledge in relevant areas. The college teachers, they have the highest degree, that masters. Well, you call them masters. We have all master's degree. Master's degree is the minimum thing which is required for a teacher in a college. That means we are master. We are the gurus in our own subjects. So the first and foremost thing which is required for an efficient teacher in a college or a university is to have excellent knowledge of the subject, the content. That is the most important thing. So getting up-to-date knowledge about the content, about the subject which they are teaching, that is the most important thing which we have to sustain in our teaching profession. We can sustain our teaching only when we understand what are the new things happening in our own areas. Of course, it may be humanities, it may be social sciences, it may be literature, it may be languages, maybe science, commerce, whatever it may be. And we see that the knowledge is expanding like anything. The type of course, I am 5 decades in teaching, 50 years in teaching. So when I got into the teaching profession as a lecturer or assistant professor, nowadays we call, the type of course I'm a chemist, the type of chemistry which I have learned, I have taught 50 years ago, and the type of chemistry which my students and grand students are teaching is totally different. If I do not keep abreast of the knowledge of explosion, what is happening in my own subject, I will be out of place. So the first and foremost thing which is required for the teacher is updating her or his knowledge in the subject of their teaching. That is the most important thing. And then the teacher has to make use of effective instructional strategies for teaching. We see a lot of things which have happened. We just look at the open education resources are available in plenty. Technology is available. Now you can interact with the classrooms, the corporates, the companies are coming up with different modes of instruction, examination, and all these things. So it is very important that the teachers should have the knowledge. Teachers should have the up-to-date knowledge, and for that they should be definitely reading the current periodicals related to that particular subject. Maybe something about what is exactly happening in that particular subject. It may not be part of the syllabus. Even then, it is very important they keep the content update. And then to provide the instruction. It varies from teacher to teacher. It varies from subject to subject. And therefore, instructional strategies definitely will change. But ultimately, technology is not going to replace the teacher. That is one fear which we had, which probably a fear without any base. Technology cannot teach, replace teacher. Only teachers can teach. Technology cannot teach. And therefore, teachers should be, I'm not saying against technology. I'm saying that the teachers who knows the content, they should be comfortable with the appropriate technologies. Even now, there may be very eminent teachers, very big teachers with big world-renowned recognitions and all that, teaching through blackboard and chalk. Maybe certain subjects. I know certain subjects like theoretical physics, all these things they teach. Even now, the very eminent teachers make use of the blackboard and the chalk and talk method. And then we have lot of new things, lot of new things. For example, the government of India, MHRD, has brought out several programs. Almost all the subjects are classroom. All subjects are available through the open education resources provided not only by India. There is the IITs and Indian Institute of Science and Indira Gandhi National Open University together brought out India's open resources. Large number of eminent teachers are providing classes and all that. So therefore, along with content, the teacher should also understand what the appropriate technology to deliver this thing. It changes from time. It changes from place to. It changes from teacher to teacher. For example, we have to just look at subject-based pedagogical methods. For example, a person who teaches arts, maybe fine arts and all that, or language or literature, they have to resort to a very, very specific methods which are relevant to that field. A teacher in experimental sciences, he or she may be doing a different way. A teacher in commerce will be doing it in a different way. So therefore it is very important that we have to be, as teachers, we have to be updated in our knowledge. We should also know how exactly the knowledge can be delivered, and we should know the learners. We should know their capabilities of understanding. We should know their resources of getting all this information. And this may vary. For example, even in a classroom, you have a diverse population. The type of students are coming from different social, cultural, economic backgrounds. So their acceptance of these new methods could also be different. And therefore, it is very important that you should understand the learners, their capabilities, their context, and then make use of appropriate instructional methods.
Yes, unfortunately, the voice is breaking.
Yes, yes.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
You are
sir,
audible
sir.
now. Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Sir, you are audible.
Hello?
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
There was some problem. There was something extra coming, and let me continue. I was just for a minute. Now you can hear me, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have to understand that the appropriate information ICT-based pedagogy, and we have to be trained in that. And then when it comes to quality of the teaching, then it is also important that we should understand the type of examination processes we have to
Sunil, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
There's
Again, there is a disconnect.
Yes. Shall we wait?
Yes, sir. Yes.
not, hello?
Yes, sir. You are audible now.
The purpose of examination is not to pass or fail a student, or not to place him or her in the first class distinction or anything. The purpose of examination, for example, as a teacher, I should know what I have taught. And then I am conducting an examination to find out to what extent the student has learned my teachings. And then probably you will say 70% or 60% of the 60% the student has understood. If he is getting a 60% mark, it means that 40% of what we have taught is not learned by the students. So that is why we have to find out what is the reason for not understanding that 40% of the subject which I have taught to him. You have to understand. And if you have effective teacher-learner interaction, you will be able to understand that also. And then we should definitely improve upon our teaching understanding the students' limitations, understanding the difficulty of the student to learn a particular subject. So so what I want to say is examination is not to pass or fail a student. Examination is to find out as a teacher what I have taught is learned by the students, and if not, what is the reason for the non-understanding of the subject by the student, and then change my way of teaching, or change his capabilities, or improve his or her capabilities to understand the subject. That should be the purpose of examination. We talk about internal evaluation. We talk about continuous internal evaluation. What is the purpose of continuous internal evaluation? The continuous internal evaluation is, for example, I have taught something, maybe total, I have 20% of the total syllabus I have covered. After that, I am conducting an examination. And from this examination, you are definitely getting input, some information, the level of understanding of the students. And then, of course, we share the marks with the students. We should also share not only just the mark, we should discuss the answer book. We should discuss the answer book of the students with the students, and then tell him or her why he has got only that much of mark. So you should also understand that it will be possible for him or her to study the rest and then learn. And then, of course, the purpose of, if you just look at examination strategies, the purpose of a repeat examination is to make the students understand what he has not understood so far. That is the purpose of re-examination. So there cannot be any failure or pass, but it has to be a continuous evaluation system. When you ask this question, whether this is happening, yes, such things are happening in education institutions. In certain premier education institutions, it's happening. They are continuously evaluating the student and then making them learn. And there are also, of course, I'm not saying that this is, possible in a mammoth mass education system, mass higher education system like ours, but there are also institutions where continuous internal evaluation is happening, and there is not like anything like a big final examination and then getting all the marks or not getting the marks in the final examination. So ultimately it is part of examination, is also part of the teaching process. It is part of the teaching process. So the teacher should also take it as an examination. That's the point I want. The teacher should also take it as an examination of their teaching. Probably you may be teaching, it may be the student's problem, but this understanding, this continuous understanding of the teaching process and by the teacher, and the learning process by the student, and then what is the gap, and what is the reason for the gap, understanding this gap and then providing the appropriate. And this is how you are meant. For example, you have to mentor, maybe group mentoring is necessary. Identify students, slow learners, fast learners, and then you should also probably experience peer teaching in your own classes. For example, some of the fast learners volunteering to teach the slow learners. They will be learning more from them rather than from the teachers. That is the type of experience which many educators have, and therefore we should look at those possibilities also. And then, of course, Paramarsh, one objective is to bring the other colleges also to some sort of an accreditation level. I don't know what exactly the UGC says about the what should be the grade. They should have some grade like that. And then I have mentioned in the first Paramarsh seminar which you had in the KJ Somaiya Arts and Commerce College, that we should look at the internal quality assurance cell. And internal quality assurance cell, I used to say that it has to be the NAC for that college. Just as NAC is coming to a university or a college, the IQAC has to be an internal activity. It has to be the NAC in quotations for that particular college. And then we should also look at, we should have some sort of a self-evaluation of ourselves. All these things should happen. Probably these things are happening during the last 2-3 decades because of the involvement of NAC, maybe happening. But then we have to understand when you just tell about the various parameters, various criteria in assessment and all that, you have to you have to analyze these criteria looking at the context of the college. For example, one particular college may be established to promote education in a very specific domain, and then that college may not have all the requirements of a composite college. So we have to look at the context of that college. For example, a college which is specifically created for providing commerce and business education and all that, you may not have the type of interaction could be totally different. And then we have to just look at what was the objective of that college. For what purpose that college was established originally. And of course, time to time, these objectives may change. So we have to look at the objectives and then try to analyze our performance, analyze that performance of that college in the context of the objectives. You cannot expect, for example, great research to happen in a college which is intended only for graduate courses or undergraduate education. You cannot expect great research to happen. But definitely, the teachers can involve themselves. They can understand. They can enhance their knowledge, and you may not be able to do big research schemes and all that. Of course, that is why now, of course, in the new education policy, some sort of a stratification even Dr. Kasturirangan and his team has suggested. The teaching universities, teaching and research universities and research universities. And then, degree granting colleges and all that. So this stratification, maybe definitely that is also, maybe can be in paper, but ultimately there has to be some sort of an organic linkage between the teaching and research. And we should also look at, when it comes to collegiate education teaching, we should also look at very specific contributions made by the teachers in developing the curriculum and in providing up-to-date instructional methods. It is also very important that now with the autonomous colleges, with the cluster universities and several autonomous institutions, you are also part and parcel of the decision making in syllabus. For example, you are part of the board of studies, many of you are part of the board of studies, many of you are part of maybe of the academic council, all of you are part of the academic council and the governing board or whatever statutory bodies of the university. These things as teachers, you are all in these committees in view of your capacity as teachers, as nobody else. You should also tell in those committees, those bodies, the real things which are happening in the classroom. So understanding the classroom is very important even for a policy maker. I am saying that in such schemes like Paramarsh, it is also very important to provide capabilities of academic leadership. And this should be, for example, what is happening in a board of studies? What is happening in the faculty? What is happening in the academic council? I think all the universities and autonomous colleges have these three bodies. And then the purpose of board of studies is to just look at the content of the various courses related to those subjects which come under the board of studies, specific subjects. And then from the board of studies, some of you go to the faculty. There are representation. All the chairpersons of the boards of studies are in the faculty of commerce or faculty of science or faculty of humanities. What is the purpose? What should be the type of interactions between the different subjects? That should be discussed in the faculty. Board of studies discusses the subject. In the faculty, you should have some sort of an interaction with the different subjects. For example, what is a language, student of language should learn something about other economics, or what should be the type of knowledge of economics for a history student, for any other student. So this interrelation between the different subjects is the purpose of the faculty. So under the Faculty of Science, for example, Faculty of Commerce, Faculty of Economics, Faculty of Business Studies. So they look together. So this give and take from the Board of Studies to the faculty should happen. And then from the faculties, you have the bigger body known as Academic Council. So what is the purpose? The overall purpose is not just to pass some resolutions and all that. The overall purpose is to have a discussion. What should be the inter-faculty linkages in that institution? What should be the type of interaction? There will be members from the science faculty, members from the commerce faculty, members from the arts faculty, from the language faculty. There may be external experts, business and all that, all these things. What is the purpose? So inter-faculty linkages. For example, what could be the relation between the teaching and learning in Faculty of Science with Faculty of Humanities, Faculty of Technology with Faculty of Life Sciences. So that's the purpose. So that inter-faculty academic linkages is the purpose of Academic Council. Similarly, inter-subject academic linkages is the subject of the faculty of separate faculties. So this, and then the Board of Studies, of course, there may be only 10 members and all that. There may be 1,000 teachers happening, 1,000 teachers, more than 1,000 teachers in big universities in that particular subject. And therefore, there has to be a proper interaction of the Board of Studies members with the teachers who are teaching in the classroom. The messages from the classroom, messages from the teachers who are teaching in the classroom, that should be taken by the members of the Board of Studies and discussed. And that should be the background for designing a particular syllabus. And similarly, the information and recommendations and observations of the Board of Studies members should be the feedback for the faculty. So what I want to say is that there has to be a proper understanding right from the teacher who teaches in the classroom. He may be a junior or just a fresh teacher. There has to be appropriate linkage, the regular academic interaction with the teachers who are teaching in the classroom, to the Board of Studies, to the faculty, to the Academic Council, and finally to the university. These are all the purposes of these bodies have been created. Of course, in the assessment and accreditation, they will be asking only how many meetings you have conducted, what is the things and all. So one can give only broad framework or prescription, whether it be by NAAC, whether it be by UGC, whether it be National Board of Accreditation, whether it be an external professional accreditation. They can only give frameworks. And within the framework, it is for the teacher to understand the purpose of that framework and then apply his or her knowledge in the right perspective. And this is very important. So in teaching and learning, what is more important is, of course, you should have the text, that is the knowledge and skills. And you are delivering, as teachers, we are delivering this knowledge and skills. And as I mentioned in the very beginning itself, we have to be up to date with our knowledge as teachers. We have to be ever masters, not just masters in 1980 or 1990 or 2000, but ever masters. We should have the mastery of the particular subject by continuous learning. That can be done by the individual teacher only, nobody else. And these are all these exercises which we are doing, like Paramash, these are all facilitation of the thing. And then that is the text. The knowledge and skills is the text of education. And this text of knowledge and skills need to be applied to the students. And if we want to apply, and also to the society at large. And if we want to apply this text to the society or to the students or to the stakeholders, as teachers, we should also understand the context of the knowledge and skills. What is the knowledge of the context and skills? And this context changes from time to time. the context changes from place to place. It is very dynamic in nature, but your subject remains the same, but the context changes from time to time. And therefore, a teacher who is teaching in the classroom, he or she should understand the context of the knowledge and context of the skills. And then only the real appropriate delivery of the knowledge and skills will happen. If I am, as a teacher, I am delivering the knowledge and skills only without understanding the context, without communicating the context of my knowledge and skills, even the application of that knowledge and skills may fail. And therefore, this text context correlation is nothing but the social relevance of knowledge. You can call it, it may be industrial relevance, it can be societal relevance, it can be cultural relevance. So this text context correlation can be really implemented or practiced by the teacher. So you should get the content, that is the knowledge and skills. Along with that, we should also understand for what purpose this knowledge and skill am I teaching to the students in this particular college, in this particular state, in this particular in our country, and this and then apply that thing. So this understanding the context of the knowledge and skills is the most important thing, even in assessing a particular college for getting the accreditation. Also understanding the context of the objectives and then applying the knowledge and skills in the right context, there will be definitely a fine institution. Thank you very much. Let me congratulate all the organizers for having an event of this kind. And it is very important to enhance the quality of teaching and learning in our colleges. We have over 50,000 colleges in this country, 1,000 universities. And the role of undergraduate collegiate education is maximum important. For example, 90% of the higher education system, more than 90%, is happening in the colleges, in the affiliated colleges in the country. And the main forte of such institution is teaching only, main. And research is there, but we can also excel in research, but developing the high quality teachers is the most important thing, and therefore FDPs of this kind is very important. Thank you very much. Wish you all the very best in your endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. That was indeed nothing else than the trajectory of how we can actually modify our teaching, learning, and evaluation methods. Over and again, Sir has highlighted the significance of a social dialogue with pupils. If I'm not wrong, grade 5 also use the same method of dialogue with children. Maybe we have to hone their discerning abilities. So therefore, decentralization, diversification, constructivism, and connectivism can be considered to be pedagogical approach. Thank you. Thank you once again, sir. Now we are moving towards the concluding segment of the inaugural session of online activity. Dr. Mahendra Mishra, Faculty Economics Department, KJ Somaiya College of Arts and Commerce, and a committee member of IQAC and Paramarsh team to propose vote of thanks. Over to you, Dr. Mahendra Mishra.
Thank you, Amrita. Respected dignitaries, colleagues, and all the registered participants, let me congratulate and thank each one of you who have registered for the faculty development program. I, Dr. Mahendra Mishra, on behalf of entire team, would like to thank Professor Rajashekaran Pillai, Provost Somaiya Vidya Vihar, and Honorable Vice Chancellor Somaiya Vidya Vihar University for aspiring his valuable time and guidance. I take this opportunity to thank our Somaiya management for their continuous support in all our
Mahindra Mishra, sir.
He got disconnected. We'll try to reach him.
One
Okay,
minute.
sir.
I would like to thank Principal of Sydenham College, Dr. Sangeeta V. Pakte, for her words of wisdom. I would like to express my sincere thanks and appreciation to SFDC PMN MTT Project Coordinator, Dr. Khushpat Jain, and his entire team for giving us the opportunity for organizing this faculty development program. I also thank the entire organizing committee, IQAC, and all the staff members who have been continuously, tirelessly to make this FDP a fruitful, enriching living experience for the next 5 days. Indeed, this faculty development program shall guide us with new ways, tools, technique, which can be used by us in making our class lecture more effectively innovative, participatory, interesting, and interactive. I express my heartfelt gratitude to each and every participant who look forward participant. We look forward for your active participation and involvement in this faculty development program. Thank you. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mahindra Mishra, sir. Couple of announcements for the participants. Soon we will be beginning with the technical session 1 for today. Dr. Asim Auti will be our resource person for technical session 1. Couple of announcements along with certain instructions to the participants. You need to log in using your registered email ID submitted in the application form. Do not log in from multiple devices. Participants, do not change your login device, and do not change your login email. While joining and leaving, login time of each participant will be recorded by the system. All the sessions are to be attended in formal attire. Please keep your camera video closed during the session. We will inform during the session when the camera needs to be put on. During the question answer session, please use the raise hand option on the system, and relevant participant will be unmuted to get their queries resolved with. Question answer session will be conducted only at the end of a particular session. Please do not try to unmute yourself during the session. Please do not mention your application number, registration number while you are trying to log in. The file regarding registration number has been shared on the WhatsApp group of online FDP. If you get logged out due to technical problem, you can contact the technical support team. Details are provided in the instruction manual on PPT WhatsApp group. Thank you. Dr. Mahindra Mishra, now I request you to kindly introduce the chief guest, the resource person of the session, Dr. Asim Auti. Dr. Mahindra Mishra, over to you.